Gopijana Bhala Bhaviri Buddhadhari Gopijana Bhala Gopijana Bhala Bhaviri Buddhadhari Gopijana Bhala Yasodanandana Brajajanaranja Nandana Brajajanaranja Yasodanandana Brajajanaranja Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jamuna Kiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajanaranja Yasodanandana Brajajanaranja Yamuna Tiravana Chadi Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Pimanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Canto 10, Chapter 76, Text number 13. Pradyumna Bhagavan Diksha Bhadyamana Nija Praja Ma Bhaishtetya Yad Viro Ratarodho Mahayashaha Pradyumna Bhagavan Diksha Bhadyamana Nija Praja Ma Vaishtetya Vyadhadviro Ratarodho Mahayashaha Nabhaishetya Vidhiro Ratarodho Mahayashaha Pradyumno Bhagavan Viksha Bhajamana Nija Praja Nabhaishetya Vidhadviro Ratarodho Mahayashaha Pradyumno Bhagavan Viksha Bhajamana Nija Praja Ma Vishitya Vidhadviro Ratarodho. Ladies, please. Pradyumna Bhagavan Viksha Vajyamana Nija Pracha Pradyumna Pradyumna Bhagavan the Lord Viksha seeing Bhayamana being harassed Nijaha his own Prajaha subjects Ma Bhaishta do not fear Iti thus Abhyadat addressed Viraha the great hero Ratha on his chariot Arodha mounted Maha immense Yashaha whose glory. I'm just going to read the translations. There's no purports in our BBT publication. Text 13 translation. Seeing his subjects so harassed, the glorious and heroic Lord Pradyumna told them, do not fear, and mounted his chariot. The chief commanders of the chariot warriors, Satyaki, Charudeshna, Samba, Akrura, and his younger brothers, along with Hadiksha, Bhanuvinda, Gada Shuka, and Sarana, went out of the city with many other eminent bowmen, all girded in armor and protected by contingents of soldiers riding on chariots, elephants, horses, and also by companies of infantry. Text 16. a tumultuous, hair-raising battle then commenced between Shalva's forces and the Yadus. It equaled the great battles between demons and demigods. So the title of the chapter is The Battle Between Shalva and the Vrishnis. And just a little review because it's good to review. Shalva became inimical specifically to Krishna because Krishna killed his best buddy, Shishupal. And to take revenge, Shalva underwent severe austerities. We heard a little bit those how severe. And his purpose was to get benediction from Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva came, asked, "What would you like?" He asked for this flying city, Saubha, that can't be defeated by this, that, the other thing, and the other thing, and the other thing. And so that benediction was awarded, and he went straight away to Dwarka and laid siege on the city of Dwarka. And he had weapons and this and that and the other thing, and throwing down weapons upon Dwarka and making a big mess. And the citizens were fearful. So specifically, the first word in this verse is Pradumna, because Pradumna, we're going to hear a few things about Pradumna, but one of the outstanding things is two of the outstanding things. He's one of the four essential forms of the Lord, Bhagavan, within Dwarka, within Dwarka. Vasudeva, Pradumna, Sankarshan, and Aniruddha. One of the Chatur Vyuha, four essential forms of Bhagavan, present in Dwarka. So he's taking charge of a battle. Now it doesn't say what the others were doing, it just says what he did. Because he's a great hero. The second thing is he's known, Pradumna is known as a Maharata, a great warrior, because there are different categories of warriors, and he's in this great warrior category. In Jiva Goswami's commentary on these verses, he gives the following explanation. He says, Ma Vishyeti, so do not fear. Something similar to what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Ma Suchaha, do not fear. Different language but the same meaning, do not fear. So the citizens of Dwarka, even if you live in Dwarka, you can be subject to difficulty. Align yourself with Krishna, which we're supposed to do, and you'll have enemies, because the enemies of Krishna become enemies towards the persons that are faithful to Krishna. So, Mahabhisha, do not fear. He's known as a Maharata, Jiva Goswami comments. This was most astonishing. He would have an amusing pastime with insignificant demons. He was amused. He gave reassurance to the Dwarkavasis. Don't worry. And within himself, Jiva Goswami is commenting, he's rubbing his hands together thinking, fantastic. A nice opportunity to have some fun with some demons. Because chivalrous warriors like combat, and Shalva and his associates had some powers from the austerities and the benediction from Lord Shiva. They had powers. So he wasn't fearful, he was fearless, and battle ensued. Then in text 14:15, there's a list of those persons who accompanied Pradyumna to leave the city. Here's a little description from Jiva Goswami of who these personalities are. Charudeshna was the younger brother of Pradyumna. Charudeshna was the younger brother of Pradyumna. So Pradyumna was the son of whom? Krishna and Rukmini. So there was, each queen had 10 sons and 1 daughter. Charudeshna was the younger brother of Pradyumna. So brothers, Pradyumna left and Charudeshna accompanied him. Jiva Goswami identifies some of the 14 younger brothers of Akrura. So, big families. Akrura had younger brothers. He gives his names. Asanga and Saryameya is another of the 14 brothers. Then next that's mentioned is Bhanuvinda. Bhanuvinda. So Jiva Goswami writes, who is Bhanuvinda? Bhanuvinda, or Bhanu, was the eldest of Satyabhama's sons. One of the 10 sons of Satyabhama, the eldest. Bhanu, or Bhanuvinda. The next name that's mentioned is Shuka. Of course, there's different Shukas, but this is a warrior, a Yadu warrior. Sharana is mentioned in this list of who went with Pradyumna outside the gates of Dwarka to deal with Shalva. The one of the sons of Rohini, doesn't say which one, Sharana. He also accompanied Pradyumna. And then Jiva Goswami writes the word Cha indicates there are many others without listing them. He specifically also says that Balaram, Vasudev, and Ugrasena, they're not mentioned as having left the city because they stayed in the city to give protection to the residents of the city of Dwarka. And along with them, this is Jiva Goswami's commentary, along with them there were various powerful assets used in military battle. Chariots, elephants, horses, and foot soldiers, from ascending to descending importance, less important. Foot soldiers, most important. The fighters on chariots. And then in text 16, that was the final verse that we read this morning, the battle begins. And Shalva's forces fighting against the Yadu's forces, of course, leading is Pradyumna. And those persons who were assisting Shalva were from the province that he came from. That's all the Jiva Goswami writes. So, yeah. There's a whole chapter I wanted to spend some time discussing about Pradyumna because He's the main person mentioned in this response to Shalva's attack. There's a whole chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto describing the personality of Pradyumna, the history of Pradyumna, chapter 55. Shortly after Pradyumna was born, within 10 days of his birth, Pradyumna was kidnapped. And the history described in chapter 55 of Canto 10 is one of Krishna's expansions. One of Krishna's expansions was Kamadev or Cupid. And Cupid or Kamadev had been burned to ashes by Lord Shiva's anger. And that rebirth of Kamadev burned by ashes, into ashes by Lord Shiva, made his partial appearance within the womb of Rukmini as Pradyumna. So that is to say, Pradyumna was one of the Chaturvyuha features, and it's not like there's another entity, but an angsa, partial expansion of Kamadev, who was an expansion of Krishna, Vasudeva Krishna. He appeared within the body of this child, Pradyumna. Then it describes in chapter 55 that there was an enemy, even you're in Dwarka, you're Pradyumna, the son of Rukmini. He was kidnapped by Shambhara. And Shambhara grabbed, considering Pradyumna to be an enemy, he kidnapped this little infant and threw the infant in the sea. This Dwarka is by the sea. A fish swallowed Pradyumna, the small infant, 10 days old. The fish was caught by a fisherman. Sounds familiar, right? The fish was caught by the fisherman. And then Shambhara purchased the fish from the fisherman. And when he cut open the fish, he saw Pradyumna in the body of the fish. And he gave the fish to be cooked to his cook. And it's mentioned in this chapter 55 that the cook had a name, Mayavati, but Mayavati just happened to be Kamadev's wife. Kamadev, who was burned into ashes. Kamadev was burned into ashes by the anger of Shiva. Kamadev had a wife, and Kamadev's wife was named Rati. And while Rati, the wife of Kamadev, waiting for her husband to take rebirth, took on the occupation of being a cook for Shambhara. So there she is. She's got this fish, and she opens up the fish, and there's her husband, or an angsa of her husband within Pradyumna. And she understood it right away, and she felt, although she's the cook, Mayavati, she felt conjugal affection towards Pradyumna. And in course of time, Mayavati, feeling conjugal affection towards Pradyumna, started making gestures with her eyes and so forth, and Pradyumna felt uncomfortable because he was told that Mayavati is like a mother. So he saw Mayavati like a mother. And my dear mother, you're behaving in a way that's improper for a mother towards her son. And then she revealed previous life, this and that and the other thing, and we're related. Pradyumna then accepted, in course of time, Mayavati as his wife. And then many other interesting things happened. Rukmini then later was rejoined with Pradyumna. She immediately recognized by transcendental power that Pradyumna was her son, the same son that had been kidnapped by Sambara, and etc., etc., etc. Now there's a detail, a nice detail, is that Pradyumna grew very quickly. He matured in a way that a child doesn't normally mature. He became a young adult very quickly. Not instantly, but rapidly, far, far, far advanced for his age. And Pradyumna was a great fighter. There's many references where he is identified like this as a Maharata, not only in this particular pastime, in chapter 76, but in other places. Amongst the Chaturvyuha forms of the Lord, he is a great fighter. Just like Arjuna is known as a great fighter amongst the others are fighters, but he's the great. And Pradyumna also great fighter. And so he takes the lead role in protecting the citizens of Dwarka by saying initially, do not fear, ma bhishaita, and goes out to do battle with Shalva. And so tomorrow we hear, one of these wonderful gory battle scenes that appear now and then in Puranas and Itihasas. Battle scenes are something I've learned from dealing with congregation members. The favorite part of kids is the battle scenes. I really love it. So if you're a kid at heart, then you like the next upcoming verses because it's battle and battle and battle and battle and battle and battle. Of course, Pradyumna is going to be victorious. As we heard, he was considering this to be fun. Chivalrous persons like combat. Chivalrous persons like very capable combat personalities to fight with, not just pushovers. But Shalva has some power. Not only he has this aerial ship, but he has other powers, and he uses them. And we'll hear shortly. He sends these weapons and those weapons and the other weapons, and Pradyumna easily counteracts those weapons. But Pradyumna was invested with a particular weapon, a Mahamaya weapon. Doesn't detail what that Mahamaya weapon is, but the Mahamaya weapon does two things. The Mahamaya weapon stops all of Shambhara's, no, not Shambhara, Shalva's mystical weapons, because he had many mystical weapons, and he used them, and they were to no avail, because of his Mahamaya weapon defeated them all. And then eventually he defeated Shalva with his Mahamaya weapon. It doesn't give it. Yesterday we had this discussion with the Chinese audience when Mahamaya and Yogamaya were discussed. I'll just share because some of you weren't with us. When Krishna departed this earthly realm and returned to the spiritual realm because his pastimes were closing, he enacted a pastime that is said directly by Shukadeva Goswami in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 11th canto, chapter 30, that it was a display of his illusory energy. Krishna's departure pastime was a display of his illusory energy. Not only his departure, but the whole scene meaning Moshala Leela, the Yadus annihilating each other, and everything that happened. According to Shukadeva Goswami, it's Krishna's illusory potency. And he said that to Daruka. Don't worry, Daruka. All of this, you can inform everybody what happened, but you should know this is my illusory energy. And there was a purpose. Krishna can do anything in unlimited numbers of ways because he has unlimited potency, but directly his Swarup Shakti or his own spiritual potency has divisions. And one of those divisions is this category of Yogamaya and Mahamaya. Both Yogamaya and Mahamaya, they assist in Krishna's Leelas. So another name that's used is Leela Shakti. So to assist in Krishna's Leelas, he has potencies. And some are under the category of Yogamaya, where he arranges things for his satisfaction. And here, his Krishna's departure specifically is his Mahamaya potency. Pradyumna apparently also has the same power, Mahamaya power. And who can stop Bhagavan? Anyway, he's all powerful. So he stopped Shava with his Mahamaya potency. Coming attractions. Let's see if there's some discussion. Yes.
Guru Maharaj, I was wondering, during the battlefield of Kurukshetra, we know that Krishna, yesterday you mentioned, offered Duryodhan.
Krishna does what?
Offered Duryodhan his army.
Yeah.
And he was by himself on the side of the Pandavas.
Right.
However, we know that most of the Yadus, they didn't engage in the battle.
That's right.
And do you have come across the reason that is given why these powerful warriors, so many, they didn't engage in the battle with Krishna?
I don't know the answer to that. Because he said he gave his armies, so he didn't lie, he gave his armies. So your question is, if he gave his armies, how come we don't hear about his armies being destroyed? We don't hear about it. So did it happen or did it not happen? And if it did happen, what happened? That's your question. I don't know of any scriptural reference saying what happened, how many warriors, his armies. As we know, Krishna was not the king. Ugrasena was the king. Krishna was respected, but Ugrasena was the king. So it may be, I don't know if this is a fact, I don't really have any scriptural reference for this, but it may be that Krishna had his little division amongst all the warriors in the Yadu dynasty. and Krishna had his army. And Krishna's army was engaged. Now, as we heard, did you hear the discussion yesterday evening? No? Okay. In chapter 30 of Canto 11, Krishna arranged for 550 million soldiers, that's a lot of soldiers, to leave Dwaraka, go to Prabhas, and annihilate each other. I mean, he didn't tell them that's what I want you to do, but that's what he arranged. So not all the warriors of the Yadu clan were in Kurukshetra, but some of them, because Krishna didn't lie, Duryodhana wouldn't have had a fit. So some of his Krishna soldiers, and in both cases, the Kurukshetra case and the Prabhas case, Krishna had a plan. And Krishna's plan overall was to withdraw his manifest pastimes and let them enter into the unmanifest pastimes, and different personalities return to their abodes where they came from to assist him in his pastimes. So I don't know exactly how to research the answer to your question, but I'm supposing that Krishna had his own soldiers and they were engaged as he promised, and they were withdrawn, which was part of Krishna's plan. There's a discussion in, I find it interesting anyway, in chapter 29 of Canto 11, there's this discussion. The chapter opens with Vasudeva, Krishna's father, arranging a big yajna in Dwarka for the benefit of the Dwarka citizens. Yajna is to get pious merit to go to the benefit of the Dwarka citizens. And while the yajna is going on, the demigods have come to receive the offerings performed during that yajna. And one of the demigods that came was Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma made a little secret encounter with Krishna while the yajna was going on, and let Krishna know, you fulfilled your promise, you annihilated the demons, and now if you so desire, you can return to your abode. Job well done, thank you. So Krishna then considered, my promise to the demigods has been fulfilled, but my mission is not yet finished, because the Yadu dynasty members remain. Kali Yuga is going to begin after I depart. And the powerful Yadu dynasty army needs to be withdrawn also. Then my job will be complete. Because they are likely to become corrupted without my protection, without the investment of the presence of religious principles. Just like in the first canto, chapter 1, where religious principles taking shelter, now that Krishna has departed. So with Krishna went knowledge, dharma, etc. So without Krishna's presence, dharma won't be the same, but the powerful Yadu army will still be there. So I should withdraw them too. His plan was to make everything squeaky clean. Not just, so the annihilation of the Yadu, Krishna's Yadu army, and the rest of the Yadu armies, Krishna withdrew. Purposefully, intentionally, by design. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.